So hey everyone, I am back with another interesting video. So recently I found myself back in another philosophical rabbit hole, and I was doing a personal research on the idea of symbolisms. What are symbols? Where did they come from? Why do we use them? Why did we started to use them, and how they have changed over time, and what does all of that mean? Because right now you're looking at a bunch of pixels on your screen, but your brain is not just seeing pixels, it's seeing meaning. It's using something to refer to something else and then derive meaning from it. What do I mean by that? So think of symbols like, see, what are symbols basically? Symbols are a mental construction that we use to refer to something else, and but the thing that is referring to the original thing isn't inherently the original thing. It's just a symbol. It's just a route that directs us to the destination. And the cool thing about symbols is that our brain didn't uh, create a new brain area to process symbols. There is no region in your brain, that specific region that just processes symbols. Instead, the brain uses already established structures to and distribute the ideas and create and process symbols from them. What do I mean by that? So do you remember the last time someone used the word that they have grasped a concept? Now, why do they use the word grasp a concept? Because a concept is a symbol. But why do they make a physical connection to it? Well, that is because the motor cortex, the parts of your brain uh, that are literally functioning to move your body, get repurposed to process symbols, and that why you may use words like you grasp a concept or you are feeling a thought. Even though you can't feel a thought physically, the, you would still say something like that because the other parts of your brain are being repurposed and they bring their functional residue into the processing of the brain, and that processing of the symbols, sorry, and that is how you communicate the symbols through words. Okay, so the next thing, humans have been using symbols for a very long time. For over 50,000 years ago, based on my research, we were making notches on bones that and making necklaces that reflect something like that. The early humans were already tracking seasons and bird cycles and things like that, from making telenox, from making notches on bones and things like that. Even physical gestures that were used before formal language are a form of symbolism, because when someone makes a physical gesture in in a physically spoken language, they're not, the gesture itself doesn't mean the original thing. It's just a reference that routes us to the original thing. For example, the word tree isn't inherently a tree. It just refers to a tree. The word tree is just a bunch of lines on a paper or a cave wall on something that could be written, that refers to the original concept of tree. And that is the most important thing. Symbols have no inherent power, they have no inherent meaning. A heart does not inherently mean love, and a skull does not inherently mean death. These are just symbols that we create, and we have a general consensus of them on what they mean. For example, some symbols that are very prestigious and divine in some cultures can be perceived as bad and evil in other cultures. That is why, for example, owl is a symbol of wisdom in the West, according to some sources, but it is a symbol of death and death and evil thing, something like that. So So whenever you design a symbol, and you need to make people understand what does it means. This is the most important thing. You can create any symbol you want, and if you are able to convince people on a general consensus what does that mean, you can take any symbol and convert it to whatever you want if you have the power to fold public's opinion around that symbol. And you can find examples like these in the past. Like for example, in the 1940s, what did the Germans did? They took a symbols. What did the Germans did? They took a symbol that is very prestigious in the Indian culture and they turned it to something else. So the next time you scroll through your phone or walk down the street, pay close attention to yourself and try to observe symbol everywhere. What are the things that are not inherently what they mean, but they refer to something original? Now I know all of this might sound confusing because it is confusing. The brain is confusing. The human mind, the human self, is very complex. So symbols are the code of the human operating system. If you like to debug and understand this code with me, like the video. I hope you learned something new, and I hope I sparked some kind of curiosity in you to learn these things on your own. See you in the next one.